I'm Aliyah, and today I'm going to be talking about why the industrial food chain is bad for Americans and why we should switch to the local sustainable food chain. Everyone deserves to be able to get food that makes them healthy and feel good about what they are eating. As the population continues to rise, this is becoming even more important, and we need to switch to a food chain that will provide us with everything we need to stay happy and healthy. The way we produce our food now is very unhealthy and has many negative ripple effects on the animals, the environment, and us. Our current industrialized system only wants to make food quickly to feed Americans, and not realizing the damage the system does to everything around us. The way to fix these problems is by having the local sustainable food chain as an everyday option. Not only is it a better way of production, but it doesn't cause as many health risks and does not produce as much pollution as the industrial food chain. Local sustainable keeps the natural way of things, and this helps everything around us. One of the biggest concerns with the current way of farming is the way we raise our meat. Companies called CAFOs have a goal to make corn into meat. Cows are meant to eat grass, but CAFOs forces them to eat grain, and this provides many health concerns to the animal. According to Michael Pollan, author of Omnivore's Dilemma, most industrial farmers don't worry about keeping things in balance. Their main concern is paying for inputs and getting the most possible outcomes. If that means forcing cows to eat corn even when it's unnatural for them, then that's what must be done. He also explains, feedlots are beef factories. Their goal is to turn corn into beef, yet feeding corn to cattle goes against the natural order almost as much as feeding them beef. Eating corn instead of grass has caused major disease outbreaks for the animal. Bloat, which is caused from cows not being fed their natural diet, is the most common disease for animals in feedlots on CAFOs. The way CAFOs raise meat has affected us a lot as well. The outbreak of mad cow disease in Europe during the 1990s was caused by a cow's corn-fed diet that included meat. The outbreak caused fatal disorders in humans. Having CAFOs also affects our environment. According to Kansas City Citizens, an informational site on the negative sides of CAFOs explains, CAFOs increases the potential to impact air, water, and land quality. The quantity of urine and feces of even the smallest CAFO is equivalent to 1,600 humans, which is how our air and water supply is being polluted. Also, the many fertilizers and pesticides used in the production of grain creates a heavy negative impact on farmers, nearby residents, and workers. CAFOs releases substances into the air that gives off diseases to people living nearby. These substances contain dust products that can create symptoms of pulmonary diseases and lung function abnormalities. Living near a CAFO can cause exposure, which means people witness contamination of water supply and degradation of the surrounding environment. They can lose community ties, property values, and declining economies. Why should we allow this type of food production to occur? Should we allow animals to be treated so poorly? Farms are supposed to grow and raise food items that are healthy. Shouldn't our current methods be the same way? All of these consequences provide negative impacts, and that's not okay. Our health is very important, and we need to fix these problems, or at least limit them. Even though these problems are large, there is a solution. Local sustainable farms can produce the meat we eat, and it is better for the animals on the farm. Farmers on local farms feed their cows grass. Grass-fed beef is much better for the animal and us than corn-fed beef. According to Isabel Cowells, author of Finding Dulcinea, additionally, fewer cows can be kept on a pasture, and farms that raise grass-fed beef tend to be less polluted and smaller. In addition, all animals are treated extremely well by farmers. They are treated with dignity, respect, and care. Michael Pollan, who in his book was explaining his experience visiting a local sustainable farm, said, "I was struck by how healthy the animals actually were, all without a single ounce of antibiotics or chemicals." Because local sustainable farmers are not trying to raise identical chickens or cows in giant sheds, sicknesses don't cause a threat to the farm, animals, or the farmers. When an animal gets sick, the farmer tries to figure out what's wrong with their system. Michael Pollan states, "At Polyface, the farmers try to work with the natural instincts of the animal, not against them. Polyface honors their inborn chickenness or cowness. It is the same for all the animals on the farm. Having a farmer who cares this much for the animals and the farm makes us benefit even more. It also makes us less concerned of where our food is coming from and how it was made. By knowing the animals are treated well, we would feel fine about feeding it and then we would buy more, which is great for us and the farmer. Local sustainable farmers helps the farm by using the animals as a system to restore the land and help the environment as a whole. On a local sustainable farm, nothing is wasted, and all waste goes back to the farmland to renew soil. It is kind of used as a fertilizer. According to Michael Pollan, the chicken manure fertilizes the grass, supplying it with all the nitrogen it needs. Another example is, but like every other bit of waste on the farm, chicken guts form biological wealth. It contains nitrogen that can be returned to the land. Finally, according to the website Sustainable Farming the Basics, farmers don't rely on any toxic chemicals, pesticides, genetically modified seeds, synthetic fertilizers, or practices that degrade soil, water, or any other natural resources. Animals are allowed to live a natural life. In the wild, they help the land, and on a local sustainable farm, they help the land. This is a very important piece to local sustainable farming and being a successful local sustainable farmer, which is why I feel it would be the best food chain for us to consider switching to. However, some experts explain that local sustainable farming wouldn't be able to feed Americans because prices would rise, and that is just not an attainable option for people living in the United States. According to Steve Sexton, author of a website called The Inefficiency of Local Foods, a local food system would raise the cost of food by constraining the efficient allocation of resources. Grains can be grown cheaply across much of the country, but the cost of growing produce outside specific limited resources increase quickly. Local sustainable food might be more expensive, but isn't it worth it? Isn't it worth paying a little more money to get healthy, quality food? Wouldn't you be willing to pay a little more to eat food that's better for you and everything around you? Michael Pollan explains, more and more humans have discovered the same sad facts about the industrialized food system, and a lot want to start buying local sustainable food. We should put our health first. And some people are starting to do that, which is great. If more people do this, we can truly make a difference. To conclude, the local sustainable food chain would be best for us to switch to because it will help the animals in getting everything they need, such as protection and care. It would help restore the environment in not having harmful substances and pollution, and it would help us feel less concerned about the food we are currently consuming. Why would we want to keep a food chain in place that does the opposite of these things? If we keep the industrial way of making food, problems that are already in place will get larger, and by the time we realize it, it might be too late. So act right now. Buy food that will be better for you. Think about where your food is really coming from, and make decisions that will best support you and the things around you. Thank you.